our Week 6 edition of The Preview, our weekly glance at the three best matchups around our coverage area. I'm your host, Adam Kulikowski, and I'll be joined by Andy Shea, our resident expert. Welcome, Andy. How are you today?
I'm good, Adam. I'm good. Week 6 is upon us. The weather is turning. It's getting early October. That means it might be time to put the shorts away, but not yet.
Not yet. Feels crisp, though. I love that. I love that on Friday nights when you have that crisp feel. So Week 6, though, Andy, I have a confession. I looked.
Looked at what?
I did it. I looked at the power rankings.
Shame on you. No, they don't matter till week 8. They're just like, right now to me, they're just like clickbait fodder. It's like, you got to give them 7 games. You got to give them this week and next week before you even consider. You can look at them in week 8 and start to formulate. And then come week 9, they matter. And come week 10, they're relevant.
I looked and I saw something interesting that I would just want to share and do a little bit of trivia with you real quick before we jump into our previews. Greencastle Antrim would be in the playoffs if the playoffs started today. So here's a question for you. When is the last time the Blue Devils reached the postseason?
Well, they go together. I'm sure Chuck was their coach.
He was.
So they are what? Are they 4A?
They are 4A.
Okay, so it has to go back to. I don't think it's in the 6 classification era. Am I correct in that?
You are.
Okay, so then you're going back to the 4 classification era, and they would have been AAA. So I'm going to say they hovered in AA. I'm going to say 2009.
That's very close. 2011, Andy. 2011. So
I knew there was a good team about a decade or so ago.
They did. They had some good teams.
They beat Susquehanna at Susquehanna. It was a good football game. I was there. But I can't remember the exact year because I'm old and they run together. But I knew it was around then. That's not a bad guess.
Yeah, they're very, very close. So lots of football left, though. So we're hoping Greencastle can break that playoff drought. But let's get into some of our previews, Andy. Let's head out to Bostic Stadium, where the 3-1 Northern Polar Bears will play host to the 3-2 West Perry Mustangs. Andy, what should we know about this matchup?
Okay, I'm gonna throw you under the bus here, Adam. It's not Bostic Stadium. It's Bostic Field. Got to get it right.
Oh,
got to get it right. Got to get your fields. George Saxon Memorial Field, right? Bud Ecker, right? John Frederick Field until anyway. So let's talk about this game.
Noted.
What I think is the Mustangs and Polar Bears, they're each coming off what I think is their best wins of the season, right? Westbury took out Mechanicsburg in a little mile come from behind fashion, and Northern just took East Pennsboro out behind the Dillsburg woodshed. There's no other way to put it. So I think confidence is a big component of high school football. And both these clubs right now are just full of themselves, right? They 100% believe right now they are better than the other team, and they think they're going to win this game, and they're going to do exactly what they want to do. And they should, right? So for me, this isn't necessarily quantitatively about X's and O's and players or matchups. I see this game as the who responds better when you get your football face bloody a little bit, right? I think West Perry's worked a little bit harder to get 3 wins out of these 2 clubs, but I'm not saying they are the harder working team in this matchup. I'm just saying they've had to work harder to get to 3 wins. I'm just saying they've had to dig deep to get to 3-2, and that's going to serve them well. But I think Northern's been the more dominant of the 2 sides in their football games. Both have losses, so getting behind or being in a tight situation won't impact either club. So here's what I think. The game's 48 minutes. The first 40 matter, but in this matchup, I think it's going to come down to the final 8. Who still believes in that final 8 minutes that 100% they are the better team and they're going to win? To me, that's the key to this matchup. And football-wise, I think Northern's defense is the difference maker. So, boom, there I highlighted you what I think might be my prediction.
Thank you, sir. Whose stock has risen more from week 1 to now? I mean, player or a team that you like?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Northern in this game for the team whose stock has risen more. I kind of tip my cap. I think their defense has been a difference maker more often than not, and I think they make it so in this game.
So Northern comes out on top Friday night?
Yeah, I think Northern's going to come out on top, and I think their defensive stock is a lot higher, especially kind of after what they did last week to East Pennsboro. If you're going to do that to East Pennsboro, West Perry's got its work cut out for him.
Okay, Andy, let's stay in the Colonial Division for one more. Undefeated Shippensburg travels to Mechanicsburg, face off against the Wildcats. Set us up for this one.
Yeah, so a week ago, I think there might have been a little more juice in this game. It would have been nice if Mechanicsburg was on a 4-game winning streak instead of getting beat by West Perry. Good for the Mustangs. Shippensburg at times in its recent past has been kind of elite on one side of the ball, and then they kind of make do on the other, right? That's not the case in this team. They're not elite or heavy on one side of the ball. They will give up some yards and points, but they also get theirs equally. So I think Mechanicsburg can put up a fight. And I think Coach Rose and his staff are showing they're pulling a little bit out of their kids, but I think in terms of building blocks, man, Shippensburg, they're building and you can see it. And it's hard to understand it if you haven't been around the game for a really, really long time. But like, I take that win against Big Spring, that in week 2, you go from winning 7-0 over Hershey, which is like, what the heck, to beating Big Spring 34-14. That's a big jump. They took a big jump again last week. Complementary football, both sides of the ball. They handled Waynesboro, both sides of the ball, right? That is sort of the way they're building, and that makes them a very, very, very difficult team to beat because you don't know whether they're going to get you coming or going.
Thank you, Andy. So that's the biggest difference you've seen in Shippensburg from week 1 to now where we're at. Just those methodical building blocks, putting things.
Yeah, they've convincingly beat a couple teams that are decent. Those teams, like I'm talking about Waynesboro, Big Spring, not the games where they won easily. Those teams are going to make certain asks of you on both sides of the ball. And yes, Shippensburg has an FBS recruit who's going to Minnesota. Everybody knows that, right? But he's just one player. They're a lot more than one player, and they're a lot more complementary football balance than some of the teams that they've had in the recent past. And I think that's a pretty dangerous combination at the high school level.
Great. Andy, give us your prediction in this game.
Yeah, it's Shippensburg probably by double digits and maybe even 2 to 3 touchdowns if they can find that sort of balanced sweet spot again, which nothing indicates they won't. So I have to lean towards the Greyhounds and pretty heavily on the Greyhounds.
And let's do one more before we head out. Central Dauphin heads out to Happy Valley to face State College. Give us your breakdown.
So you have to be impressed with CD offensively, right? After 21 days off. I mean, through preseason and the first 2 games, their offense didn't look anything like it did. It didn't look anything like it did last week through 8 quarters of football. So that's some serious grind during the COVID-19 shutdown. I mean, to come back and throw up nearly 500 yards and 50 points, and it was balanced, right? It was sort of the powerful running game and behind that offensive line and the left arm of Max Mosey kind of doing equal damage. That's the formula. And if it took them to have a COVID, sort of go on the COVID list for, 2 games and not play for 21 days to find that and get that sort of worked out, they got to validate it this week. I don't think Chambersburg was a walkover opponent. They just came out and gobsmacked that team. And, rest helps, but so does, getting some kinks worked out in X's and O's. So that's one thing I think that's the formula, right? That's CD's formula. State College, they struggled to play at an equitable level on a consistent basis with CDs last week. I mean, that was pretty clear. Now, the CD East defense, dare I say that CD's defense is not the same level as its sister school at CD East right now. Please don't shoot me for saying that, but that's just the truth, right? I think State College is on a little more level playing field when they have the rock, but I just don't see them on an equitable field in this game over the course of 48 minutes.
Somebody's going to use that as bulletin board material, Andy.
Yep, there you go. I'll give it to you each and every week. Just tune in. Trust me, I'm not afraid to say what I think.
Pin it up in the locker room, Coach Mack. Give us one player on each team to watch, Andy.
So for CD, it's for me, for Central Dauphin, it's 6 foot, 220-pound running back, fullback, powerful running dude. It's Tyrell English. He's averaging nearly 100 yards a game, 5.5 a carry. He's got 6 touchdowns. He's between the tackles pretty much. Like, behind that offensive line, he's coming at you. But I think he sets the tone a little bit for this offense, and he opens other doors for them offensively. So I think he's a big key in this game.
And for State College, Andy?
Yeah, it's got to be the quarterback. I mean, Finn Firmanek, he's a dual threat kid. He's got 1,000 total yards this season. He's putting up some numbers, but his team's kind of sometimes struggling to move the ball or score on a little bit more consistent basis. He's doing his part. I think everyone around him's kind of got to help him a little bit more. But in this game, he's going to have to be elite to keep them hunting with the Rams. I just feel very strongly that even though I think he's played just fine, exactly what you would want from your quarterback, I think everybody else around him has to be better, and he has to be outstanding for them to stay in this one.
Okay, so who comes out on top, Andy?
Yeah, it's CD for me. That I think they're looking to validate that they found something offensively. I'm not just saying that they have to validate. I think they're looking for that from themselves too. Can we produce another 4 quarters that look like that against another quality side? I think they have found something. Now they have to validate. I think they will. So give me the Rams.
Okay, Andy, that's it for this edition of the preview. Get out to see one of these games at Bostic Field or another one on the slate. Support your local teams. Check us out at fourthdownmagazine.com for all of our weekly content. See you, Andy Shea.
See you, Adam.